Hello everyone, this is Marc from Jazz Guitar Lessons. Once again, this is the voice leading video, which is a follow-up to the Triads by String Sets video by request of a visitor. So here's the new guitar, everyone. That's a GNL Blues Boy. You can find out about it on Jazz Guitar Gear page. And I'm a big Ed Bickert fan and Ted Green fan, so it sounds fantastic. And the Gibson is still here, don't worry, but I like to use it sometimes. So here we go. You should be at least familiar with Triads by String Set as in the previous video, like this. To be able to construct triads at least in the key of C. On different string set, perhaps you started to work on spread voicings, like such. Things like that, you should start to be familiar with that. So let's talk about what is voice leading. The term means having control over independent voices, so to speak. In French, we say conduite des voix, which literally translates to the behavior of the voices, so the inner voices of the chords. In relations to chords, voice leading means that you know what notes change, or what notes stay the same when changing from one chord to another. In fact, it's like seeing this as a pre-classical thing and seeing chords as 3 or 4 independent melodies, like all the Baroque composers, if you wish. So in this video, for time's sake, we'll deal only with minimal voice leading or ideal voice leading, meaning that if a note can stay the same, it will, and when it needs to move, it will move to the closest available note. So why should we do this? Well, because it creates a smoother contour. If I'm going from a D minor 7 to a G7, doing this, or doing, it's quite, it's not smooth. It doesn't create a contour to your melodic lines. So if you work on voice leading, you will get a lot of information and a lot of smoothness in your chords. Also, this is a great study of harmony. I mean, even if you don't play like that by the rules of voice leading all the time, you'll get a lot of information by dealing with the different ways chords move from one another. So even if you're not 100% familiar with all the materials on the Triads by String Set video, what you'll do here is that you'll deepen that knowledge because you'll be confronted with situations where you need to apply your knowledge. So here's the process. We will start with one very simple example. We're going to take a C major triad, C, E, G. The G is an open string, right? And we will get that going to an F major triad. Now, if you were not voice leading, you could keep the same structure like this and just move it up a fourth. But in voice leading, what we want to do is to have a minimal voice movement. So C, E, G, going to F, A, C. There's already a C in there, right? Meaning that our C will remain the same. Oh, that's nice. Then what about that E note? Well, that E note is just a half step from F, right? So we'll do, the C stays the same, the E goes up to F, and the G, well, it goes to A, because we need F, A, C. So we'll get this. From low to high, C, F, A. Once again, C, E, G, C, F, A. So I just outlined the change from C major triad to F triad. Let's do a second example for clarity purpose, just to make sure it's clear with everyone. We'll go from a C chord to a G chord, the G major triad, which is the dominant, the triad found on the 5th degree of the C major scale, right? So C, E, G once again. Now we're going to G, B, D, right? So in relationship to C, E, G, we already have our G note here. E note will want to go down to a D on the 4th string, and the C note goes down to a B note on the 5th string. So we went from a C to a G7, G, like this. Fairly easy, and we went from a C to an F, like this. Of course, now you're starting to understand, okay, that's why I need to work on my inversions, right? Because if you're on C major and you want to smooth your voice leading to anywhere else, well, possibly the next chord will not be in the same position. It will not be root third and fifth. It will be something else. Like when we went to the F major, it was an F major in second inversion. C at the bottom. When we went to G major, it was the third at the bottom, first inversion. So now you might be asking, all right, this all sounds good. So what should you do with that? Well, what's the practice tip? What's the story? In the previous video, what we did is that we kept the voicing the same and we moved it up and down on string sets. Meaning if you're on strings 6-5-4, you stick to strings 6-5-4 until you're done, and then you change string set and you master your whole instrument like this. Now, I think it's a good idea to remain on string sets, but the thing is, you have to have a progression in mind. You're not going to go C, D minor, E minor, F again, because it won't work like that. So, have you guessed it? Maybe not. Okay, the answer is you have to work on this by cycles. I've mentioned this on jazzguitarlessons.net already. A cycle is only a certain distance or a certain pattern that you will be going through chords with. A lot of people know the circle of fourth or circle of fifth, like the circle with all the chromatic notes, sorry. But the thing is, you can also have diatonic cycles, which is another page on jazzguitarlessons.net, right? Diatonic cycles mean if you start, let's say we're in C major once again. If you start on C and you want to do the whole pattern and come back to C but play every other chord present, there's 6 ways you can do this, right? You can start with the 1 chord, the C chord, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's called cycle 2. And this would amount to playing C, D minor, E minor, F, exactly like we did in the first video. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's cycle 2, because the movement is up a second. So are you starting to see the potential of this? What if we say we do cycle 3? Well, cycle 3 means that you're always going up a diatonic third. The whole cycle will be C, E minor, G major, etc. So C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C. So because we have larger jumps within chords, now it's a great opportunity for us to voice lead within that, right? So let's do just one example for each circle. We have, I said cycle 2, we've already practiced it. We'll do cycle 3 and we'll do cycle 4. And then if you stick with me a little longer, I'll give you the trick to get all the cycles 5, 6, and 7 all in one time without thinking about it too much. You ready? A little note about cycle 2 before we get going. Since we already moved it parallel like this, we're going to do the cycle 2 the other way, if you wish. We're going to go anti-gravity, because of course the closest way to go from C to D is just to move everything up. But now we'll do a cycle 2, which is a non-proper voice leading, just for the sake of practicing. You ready for that? Let's pick strings 5, 4, and 3 here, and start high, and go down by doing C major, D minor, all the diatonic chords in C major. Ready? C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, we're missing one, right? B, diminished, and C. So this is quite awkward. You'll see that with the other cycles it will become more easy. It will become easier. Sorry guys. Okay, now for cycle 3. What is cycle 3? Well, start on C, go up a third, go up a third, go up a third. So let's start with this same C that we started with the cycle 2. Strings 5, 4, 3. And we'll do it cycle 3 from there. Ready? C major, E minor, what's next? G major, B diminished, D minor, F major, A minor, and C. Let's keep going down. We're at C again, right? C, E minor, G, B diminished, D minor, F major, A minor, and back to C. Now let's do the last cycle until we reach original C. C, E minor, G major, B diminished, D minor, F major, and A minor, and we're back to the C. Now, can you only imagine if you're able to do that in all cycles, how much information you'll be able to cope with on the instrument? And imagine if you could do that on all string sets. Imagine if you could do that with different progressions. This is amazing. So let's just work through cycle 4 right now, and then we'll do cycle 5, 6, 7 all in a bunch, and then we'll do a wrap up, and I'll let you go do your homework. Okay, so let's do cycle 4 now. You'll see there's something very cool about cycle 4 that happens to move up to the contrary as what we would be thinking. It's because we're using only triads for now, right? So let's start with C major here, C, E, G, and do cycle 4. C major, F major, B diminished, E minor, A minor, D minor, G major, and back to C. Now we're in C second inversion. Just to mess with your mind a little bit, let's do that C second inversion here on strings 6, 5, 4, and do cycle 4. C, F, B diminished, E minor, A minor, D minor, missing one, G major, and back to C in first inversion. So let's do C first inversion. Let's see where we could play it. Play it on the same voicing on strings 5, 4, 3. And let's finish the cycle 4 so we get back to original voicing. You ready? C major, F major, B diminished, E minor, A minor, D minor, G, and we're back to C in root position. Okay, now that we've covered cycle 2, 3, and 4, I really want to tell you, you have to go slow with that stuff. You have to see notes moving and you'll be all confused in the first stages, and it's part of the process. If you're lost, it's probably because you're learning something. Okay, so let's keep it that way. Now, let's discuss cycles 5, 6, and 7. What happens, well, let's talk about cycle 7 to get your mind going in that. If you say cycle 7 is like going up 7, so it means you're at C, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you go to B, which amounts descending to, right? So you could say that cycle 7 is only a reversed cycle 2. You're just doing cycle 2, but instead of going up, you're going down. So C, B, A, G, F, E, etc. Same applies to cycle 6. So you say cycle 6, oh my god, you know, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh, that's A minor, and you're all confused. In fact, it's not that hard. It's like a reverse cycle 3. Instead of thinking C to A, C to A, C is 1 to A, then you can say C, B, A, so C down 3 instead of up 6, right? Same applies to cycle 5. Once you've worked at cycle 4, like we just did, the previous exercise, you already know your cycle 5, right? So that's stuff you need to keep in mind when practicing it. If you really want to attack the nature of harmony and how those things work together, how to construct chord progressions, and maybe related to the classical world, and all this stuff works in a physical way, like the harmonic series and how chords were developed, you have to check out Gordon Delamont's books. Okay, Gordon Delamont was a teacher in Toronto, and he passed, but he wrote a ton of books that are great for studying harmony on your own. And while we're on the topic of voice leading, I cannot not talk about this. If you've ever seen that, I don't think it's on sale anymore, but it's a few books by Mr. Goodchord, written by Mick Goodrick. In fact, it's like a phone book of voice leading, all written like this, only notes from low to high for use for keyboard players and anyone that wants to compose, really. And what we did so far in the video, what I played on the instrument and I wanted to show you, might be a 2 or 3 page in that thing. The thing with Mr. Goodchord, that he really went nuts. He wrote, I think, 2 or 3 like this. It's really big. He does it in melodic minor, does it in harmonic minor, and he harmonizes 7 chords to hybrid structures like fourth voicings that are not built in thirds. It's crazy. If you can put your hands on it and you want to study it, that might be it's a good find. It's fun. But honestly, you could really take just 1 page of it and just work your whole lifetime. Right? So let's wrap up here. There's more you can do with that. Of course, we just did triads of C major. You have to check out your other string sets. You have to check out spread voicings. Like if you take 3 notes and you take the middle one and you put it up an octave, it will give beautiful sounds. First inversions, second inversions. You can use melodic minor scale, harmonic minor scale, and you can also start to look at 7 chords. And you say, wow, how 7 chords? How can I control 4 voices at the same time? Well, basically you can't. I'm just saying. But you should at least give it a try and see if you can find some notes that are common between chords. Let's see if I can do, I'll start on C major, 7, and I'll try to see if I can voice lead my way down. Ready? So C, doing cycle 4, sorry. C major, F major, B half diminished, E minor, A minor, D minor, G7, C major. Once again, going down, C, F, B half diminished, E minor, A minor, D minor, G7. Okay, so those were drop 2s. That's probably where you should start by doing this. But if you are really curious and understand the nature of the material you're working on, you will be able to find the voice leading factor, the voice leading notes and how it moves between basically any song, between any chords and songs or tunes that you write, or comping tricks that you like to find. So I hope this video was helpful. I know it's a lot of work. That's what I said to the YouTube visitor that left a comment, so you should do a voice leading video. I was like, oh my god, it'll take 2 hours, but I hope this was worth your time. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon on jazzguitarlessons.net. Phone ringing.